Subscribe to IMR Scary Tales and watch spine-chilling horror stories almost every day. And don't forget to click on the bell icon.
Back in high school, my group of friends consisted of about 10 people, but it would be rare that we would all do things together. On a dark and cloudy school day, my friends Jared, Michelle, Christina, and I were all sitting in history together. We had a sub that day, and we weren't really doing any work, so everyone was just talking. Our high school was really old, like built in the 1930s, and there sat an old second building in the woods, though it was apparently used back in the 40s as some kind of daycare or preschool, and it just happened to be on the high school grounds, but they never tore it down. It was so old and decrepit, as vines growing on the side walls of it. The four of us were talking about how we should break into it that night, since it was a Friday. We didn't tell the rest of our friends, because it would be harder to do with a lot of people. So nightfall came, and we snuck onto the school grounds through a more hidden path to avoid security. And we easily made it towards the woods. We got to the building, which was in a fenced-off area. Jared and I boosted the girls up over the fence, and we climbed over ourselves. The building was about twice the size of a house. There was no way we were the first ones to have been doing this. We scanned all four walls, looking for a good entry point. There were multiple windows, and then we found the front door to the building. Locked, of course. Jared and I ended up breaking the window. We boosted the girls up inside first. Then Jared crawled inside, and lastly, me. It took me a bit to squeeze in, as I was the biggest one there, after all. And I actually cut my hands on some glass. After managing to get in, I looked around in the dark, cold room I was standing in. I realized it looked like an arcade class-like room. But I also realized my friends weren't in there. I yelled Jared's name over and over. I left the little class-like room and entered a tight, decrepit hallway. There were a bunch of open doors leading to similar classrooms, but now I was more focused on finding my friends. I had no idea why they went ahead of me so quickly. I called their names again and again to no avail. I looked into all the tiny classrooms until I got to one where I saw Jared standing in the corner. He was looking out the window. I said, "Dude, what the hell? What are you doing? And why couldn't you wait for me?" He just turned and looked at me. I guess I couldn't make eye contact in that darkness. I looked down the hall again and called both girls' names, and then I heard someone stepping on something pretty loudly further down the narrow hall. I stepped through the mess of random school objects littered on the floor and got to the last classroom on the left. And the second I looked inside, someone jumped out and screamed in my face. I nearly had a heart attack, and it was Jared. Christina and Michelle came out from behind hysterically laughing. They revealed that they came up with the plan to hide from me to scare me a few minutes before. I playfully shoved Jared, but with my heart still racing from the scare, I realized it started racing even faster because I remembered the figure I just saw in that other classroom. I whispered that I saw someone else in the other classroom and thought it was Jared. I waved for them to follow me back to that classroom, but whoever that person was in the corner, he wasn't there anymore. I stepped into the classroom, but it looked empty. Then I heard one of the girls gasp. I stepped back to them and looked at what the three of them were looking at. She was pointing out the crack between the doors to the classroom. There was someone standing behind the door with their face pressed up between the cracks of the door. The two girls screamed and Jared yelled, "Let's get out of here!" We all ran back to the window we came in through. I was the last one to climb out, and I can't tell you how scared I was that I was going to be grabbed by the legs and pulled down as I was climbing through. But I made it out. We hopped the fence again and ran back to Christina's house. It didn't make sense. The door to the building was locked, and the window we smashed was the only window open. So how could that man have gotten in? Our better question is, what was he doing in there? We told the rest of our friends, and rumors quickly spread about the building. I'm sure others went in there after that, though we never went near that building again.